Hello everyone, I'm Dean Turner and this is why the 4 to 8 rep range is the best rep range for muscle growth. So there are 4 things you need to concern yourself with when programming for muscle growth. They are the size principle, which pertains to motor unit recruitment or muscle activation, the force-velocity relationship, the length-to-tension relationship, and fatigue. For the purposes of this presentation, we are not going to concern ourselves with the length-to-tension relationship, as the rep range you use in training has no bearing on its effect on hypertrophy-related outcomes. Prior to explaining why the 4 to 8 rep range is likely to be the most efficient and effective rep range for muscle growth in detail, let me first present a few charts to help set the stage. From there, I will go into the explanation. So, chart number 1, the effective reps model. This chart is from Chris Beardsley. All charts in today's presentation will be from Chris. Chart number 2, on corollary discharge, afferent feedback, and motor unit recruitment. If you need to pause the video to review either one of these charts, please do so now, and I will go into the explanation. As chart number 1 indicates, each set of resistance training only has the potential to produce about, it's not perfectly precise, but about 5 repetitions that actually elicit any sort of meaningful hypertrophy stimulus. There are 2 reasons for this. Reason number 1, once you reach 5 RIR, repetitions in reserve, in order to produce enough force to move the weight on every rep all the way down to 0 RIR, you will need to exhibit max tolerable effort. This will result in max or near max motor unit recruitment, which is a prerequisite for obtaining a meaningful hypertrophy stimulus. Reason number 2, again, once you reach 5 RIR, in order to produce enough force to move the weight on every rep all the way down to 0 RIR, you will need to exhibit max tolerable effort. This will result in an involuntary loss in concentric repetition velocity. This involuntary loss in concentric repetition velocity will cause the muscle fibers at work to shorten more slowly. Slower shortening velocities will allow for a greater number of cross bridges to form between the actin and myosin myofilaments. This greater cross bridge formation and the resultant slower detachment rate will result in mechanical tension being experienced at the fiber level. If enough mechanical tension is experienced at the fiber level during a resistance training bout, a hypertrophy stimulus will result. This is essentially the entire process for stimulating muscle growth, sans, meaning not including fatigue and length to tension dynamics. As I already mentioned, we're not going to go over length to tension dynamics because they have no bearing on the effects. The rep range has no bearing on their effect on hypertrophy-related outcomes, but we will now go over fatigue. So enter fatigue dynamics. Our ability to maximally or near maximally recruit motor units, which is, again, a prerequisite for obtaining a meaningful hypertrophy stimulus, is contingent on our ability to exhibit max tolerable effort. Unfortunately for us, max tolerable effort does not guarantee us full motor unit recruitment. Why doesn't it? Afferent feedback is why. Chart number 2. This is put here again for emphasis. If you need to pause and look this over, please do so now. Chart number 2 indicates when performing an intense set of resistance exercise, we are likely to achieve higher levels of motor unit recruitment in lower rep ranges when effort is equated. This is because higher rep ranges tend to result in more metabolite accumulation. Metabolite accumulation is essentially the burning sensation you feel from a hard, high rep set of resistance exercise. Sure, everyone can relate to this. In essence, this burning sensation inhibits our ability to achieve full motor unit recruitment prior to us ending the set, which we will do once we reach max tolerable effort. Another way of understanding this, and the chart does a good job of depicting it, is to think of our max tolerable effort as a kitchen glass, so drinking glass. The kitchen drinking glass is akin to our perception of max tolerable effort. In the event that the glass is filled exclusively with water, which is akin to corollary discharge here, we will achieve the highest possible motor unit recruitment, or muscle activation, we're capable of. In the event that the glass is filled with water, so corollary discharge again, and oil, which is akin to afferent feedback in this example, we will have left some motor unit recruitment on the table. Chart number 1 and chart number 2 set the stage for chart number 3. So, pause if you need to. Chart number 3 is essentially depicting this, and I'm going to go over this. As chart number 3 indicates, a 5 RM set will result in a greater hypertrophy stimulus than a 15 RM set, which will result in a greater hypertrophy stimulus than a 30 RM set. Note, the level of motor unit recruitment achieved in the 5 RM, 15 RM, and 30 RM sets is similar, but it is not the same. Afferent feedback from metabolite accumulation will contribute to our perception of max tolerable effort, which will result in lower motor unit recruitment, which will result in a poorer hypertrophy stimulus, all else being equal. Again, you can look at this chart. You can see the green line, 5RM, is superior in terms of motor unit recruitment at 0 RR to the red line, which is superior to the orangish yellowish line, which is a 30 RM. But, what if I still see a slowdown in concentric repetition velocity on a 15 RM or 20 RM or 25 RM or 30 RM set? That's great, and that would indicate you did the best job possible of stimulating the target muscles on that set in that rep range, but you didn't do the best job in general. This is the concept of opportunity cost, guys. A 30 RM set taken to failure can give you a robust stimulus. It probably can't give you as robust a stimulus as a 5 RM set taken to failure. So, again, opportunity cost. Where there is a lack of motor unit recruitment, there is a lack of muscle activation. Where there is a lack of muscle activation, there is no shot at the inactive fibers experiencing mechanical tension. No mechanical tension equals no growth. Again, in the 30 RM scenario, you will not reach full motor unit recruitment. And that's why these couple sentences are here. So, now you understand why lower rep ranges are superior to higher rep ranges on a single set basis with regards to hypertrophy related outcomes. But I haven't even touched on why they're better on a multi-set, multi-workout basis, which is of the utmost importance considering you will need to do many sets across many workouts across many weeks, months, years, decades to build an appreciable amount of muscle. So if you take a look at chart number 4, I would point you to the left-ish upper quadrant. Rep range. Lighter loads mean longer durations of muscle activation, which means more time for calcium ion accumulation to occur. This, and we're going to go over this a bit more in detail soon, is also kind of depicting the higher reps versus lower rep scenario and how calcium ion accumulates. If you look at the lower right side, calcium ion fatigue accumulates, I should say. If you look at the lower right side, heavy loads cause less overall fatigue, and what is more important, they cause this fatigue much later in the set. So as chart number 4 and chart number 5 indicate, the more reps you perform on a set, the more likely you are to accumulate fatigue. The fatigue that results from a higher rep set will not only affect subsequent sets in the same workout, but it will also affect subsequent workouts. Do you need any more reason to err on the side of lower rep ranges? Don't really think so. So, case closed. Forget about doing any set above 8-ish reps. Not so fast. While this presentation paints a very clear picture as far as which rep range tends to be the most optimal for muscle growth, it doesn't mean you should never venture away from the 4 to 8 rep range. Practically speaking, there could be a number of reasons for using a rep range that's a bit higher. Here are some practical reasons that immediately come to mind. Number 1, you find some exercises simply don't cater very well to a lower rep range. An example of this might be lateral raises. In the event that you want to use a higher rep range on something like a lateral raise, do I really think it's a big deal? No, I don't. Number 2, you find that lower rep work and the higher load that must be used as a result aggravates some outstanding injury you've been dealing with. In this instance, use the higher rep range if you find that that's more comfortable. No problem. So yes, there are some instances in which it may make sense to use a higher rep range. That said, based on everything we know about muscle growth right now, it is likely best to do the vast majority of your work in the 4 to 8 rep range. This will ensure when max tolerable effort is reached, as much mechanical tension as possible is experienced at the fiber level while accumulating the least amount of fatigue possible, all things equal. So I know I'm going to get some questions about why not 5 to 8, because there's 5 effective reps. Why is it 4 to 8? Here's the reason. So as you can see, whether it's a higher rep set or a lower rep set, when you get into that 2-ish, 1-ish RIR range, you really see an uptick in calcium ion fatigue accumulation. So this is kind of a whole separate topic, but this is why I'm really a fan of leaving a rep or 2 in the tank. So as a result, if we kind of factor in that we're going to leave a rep in the tank, a set of 4 at like a 1 or a 2 RIR would be a very, very efficient set, which is why I kind of extended this range down a little bit and didn't make it 5 to 8. The precise number isn't that important. It's just that what is important is that you understand the concepts here, and So yeah, that's why I extended the range. It's not perfectly 4 to 8. It could even be potentially 3 to 8 if you're leaving like an RR or 2. But 4 is a pretty nice hedge. And 8 is probably definitely the upper limit on how high you want to go with the rep range. It's not perfect. It's not about being precise. It's just a range-based thing. Okay, if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you all. See you guys later.